Can you be my date for my ex's wedding? The CEO said yes, but stayed for the vows the moment I stood at the back of that flower-adorned church, watching my ex-boyfriend recite his vows to another woman while my boss, the impossibly handsome CEO I had somehow convinced to be my fake date, squeezed my hand. I realized something terrifying. I was falling in love with the wrong man at the wrong wedding. If you're enjoying this story already, please hit that like button and subscribe to the channel for more heartfelt stories that explore the unexpected twists of love and fate. 3 months earlier, the wedding invitation had arrived like a beautifully embossed slap to the face. Olivia Bennet and Carter Reynolds request the honor of your presence. I read aloud to my empty apartment, my voice faltering. Carter. My Carter, or at least, the man who had been mine until he decided that our 5-year relationship wasn't going anywhere. The man who, apparently, had found someone worth marrying just 10 months after leaving me. My phone buzzed with a text from my best friend. Zoe, did you get it? Yes. I'm not going. You have to go. You can't let him think you're still heartbroken. I stared at her message. Was I still heartbroken? The pain had dulled, but seeing that invitation brought it all rushing back. Carter had been my college sweetheart, the man I thought I'd marry. Instead, he was marrying someone named Olivia, probably beautiful, probably perfect. I can't show up alone, I texted back. Then find a date. A hot, successful date who will make Carter realize what he gave up. Easy for Zoe to say. My social life had become non-existent since the promotion that had made me the executive assistant to Alexander Reed, the notoriously demanding CEO of Vertex Innovations. The job was incredible, but it left little time for dating. The next morning, I was organizing Alexander's schedule when he emerged from his office, suit impeccably tailored to his athletic frame, dark hair slightly tousled in that way that probably took effort but looked effortless. Maya, I need the Henderson proposal before noon, he said, not looking up from his phone. Already on your desk, I replied, trying not to notice how his steel gray eyes crinkled slightly at the corners when he finally looked up. Perfect. As always. He paused. Is everything all right? You seem distracted. That's when the absurd idea struck me. Later, I'd blame sleep deprivation or temporary insanity, but in that moment, standing before one of Boston's most eligible bachelors, a man whose dating life regularly featured in gossip columns, I blurted out, "Can you be my date for my ex's wedding?" The silence that followed seemed eternal. Alexander's expression shifted from surprise to confusion to something I couldn't quite read. Your ex's wedding, he repeated slowly. I'm sorry. That was completely inappropriate. Please forget I said anything. My cheeks burned with embarrassment. When is it? I blinked. What? The wedding. When is it? July 15th. It's in the Berkshires. But honestly, sir, please forget I asked. It was unprofessional and, I'll do it. Now it was my turn to stare. You'll do it. Alexander Reed, CEO of a company valued at over $1 billion, a man who had never so much as grabbed coffee with an employee, was agreeing to be my wedding date. On one condition, he added, his expression serious. You stop calling me, sir. If we're going to convince people we're dating, you should probably use my name. I nodded, speechless. Send me the details, he said, turning back toward his office. And Maya, breathe. The weeks leading up to the wedding were a crash course in getting to know Alexander, Alex, as he insisted I call him outside the office. We crafted a believable story about how our professional relationship had evolved into something more. We practiced small touches, intimate glances, the casual physical closeness of a couple. What I hadn't anticipated was how much I would enjoy discovering the man behind the CEO facade. Alex was surprisingly funny, with a dry wit that caught me off guard. He was passionate about architecture, could speak at length about jazz, and had a soft spot for his grandmother, who had raised him after his parents died. Why are you doing this? I asked him one evening as we sat in his penthouse, reviewing our relationship timeline. He was quiet for a moment. Maybe I know what it's like to want to save face. There was a story there, but he didn't elaborate, and I didn't push. The day of the wedding arrived with perfect blue skies and my stomach in knots. Alex picked me up in his Aston Martin, looking devastatingly handsome in a charcoal suit. "Ready?" he asked, opening the passenger door. I smoothed down my emerald silk dress. As I'll ever be. The Berkshire estate was breathtaking, rolling hills, a historic mansion, flowers everywhere. And there, greeting guests near the garden where the ceremony would take place, was Carter. Seeing him again after nearly a year sent a jolt through my system, but it wasn't the crushing pain I'd expected. It was more like recognizing a familiar landmark in a town you no longer lived in. Carter did a double take when he saw me approaching with Alex's hand at the small of my back. "Maya," he said, his eyes widening as they traveled from me to Alex and back. "You came. Wouldn't miss it," I replied with a smile that felt more genuine than forced. "Carter, this is Alexander Reed, my boyfriend. Alex, this is Carter Reynolds." The two men shook hands, and I watched Carter's expression shift as he recognized Alex's name. "Reed, as in Vertex Innovations." Alex nodded modestly, his arms sliding around my waist. "That's right. Maya's been keeping me in line there for the past year." "Wow." Carter looked stunned. "That's impressive." The satisfaction I felt was petty but sweet. "Congratulations," Alex said smoothly. "Your bride must be special." As if on cue, a willowy blonde appeared at Carter's side. Olivia was indeed beautiful, with a warm smile that seemed genuine when Carter introduced us. "Maya, I've heard so much about you," she said, taking my hands in hers. "Thank you for coming. It means a lot to both of us." Her sincerity threw me. This wasn't the villain I'd imagined. She was just a woman in love with the man I once thought was mine. As we found our seats for the ceremony, Alex leaned close. "You okay?" I nodded. "Better than I expected." "He's watching us," Alex murmured, his lips near my ear. "Should we give him something to see?" Before I could respond, he brushed his lips against my temple, a gesture so tender it made my heart stutter. For the benefit of our audience, I told myself. Just part of the act. The ceremony began, and as Carter and Olivia exchanged vows, I found myself moved, not by jealousy or regret, but by the evident love between them. Carter's eyes shone as he promised to cherish Olivia, his voice catching with emotion. It was a side of him I'd rarely seen during our relationship. I felt Alex's gaze on me and turned to find him watching my reaction. There was a question in his eyes, a concern that I might be hurting. I smiled softly, letting him know I was truly okay, and he took my hand, interlacing our fingers. The reception was held in a beautifully decorated barn on the property. Alex and I danced, drank champagne, and played our roles convincingly. Too convincingly, perhaps. With each touch, each laugh, each moment of connection, I felt the line between pretense and reality blurring. "They seem happy," Alex said as we watched the newlyweds sway on the dance floor. "They do," I agreed. "I think they're right for each other in a way Carter and I never were." "And what about us?" he asked quietly. "Are we convincing?" I met his gaze. "Very. You're an excellent fake boyfriend." Something flickered in his eyes. "Is that all I am?" The question hung between us, weighted with possibility. Before I could answer, we were interrupted by Zoe, slightly tipsy and full of questions about my relationship with Boston's most eligible CEO. Later, as the evening wound down, Carter found me alone at the bar while Alex was engaged in conversation with some of the other guests. "You look happy," Carter said, leaning against the bar beside me. "I am," I replied, surprising myself with how true it felt. "He seems like a good guy. Different from what I expected from the articles I've read." I smiled. "There's more to him than what people see." Carter nodded thoughtfully. "I'm glad. You deserve that, someone who sees all of you." He hesitated. "I'm sorry I couldn't be that person, Maya." "I'm not," I said, the realization dawning as I spoke. "We wanted different things. And look where we ended up. You found your perfect match." "And you?" he asked. My eyes found Alex across the room. He was listening intently to an elderly relative of Carter's, his expression genuinely engaged. As if sensing my gaze, he looked up, his eyes finding mine immediately. Something passed between us, a current of understanding. I don't know yet, I told Carter honestly. But I think I might be closer than I realized. As the night drew to a close and guests began to leave, Alex and I walked through the gardens illuminated by string lights. The summer air was warm, crickets chirping in the distance. "Thank you," I said. "For doing this. For making it so much easier than I thought it would be." "Maya," he said, stopping to face me. "I need to tell you something." My heart quickened. "What is it?" "I didn't agree to this just to help you save face. I agreed because I've wanted to spend time with you outside of work for months, but I didn't know how to bridge that gap without it being inappropriate." I stared at him, processing his words. "You wanted to spend time with me. Is that so hard to believe?" His smile was uncertain, a vulnerability I'd never seen in him before. "You're brilliant, compassionate, funny. You challenge me daily. And yes, you're also beautiful, but that's just a bonus. But you're, you. Alexander Reed. You could have anyone." He stepped closer. "I don't want anyone. I find myself wanting the woman who organizes my chaotic life, who anticipates my needs before I know them myself, who isn't impressed by my title or my bank account." My breath caught as he reached up to tuck a strand of hair behind my ear, his touch lingering. "I stayed for the vows today," he continued, "and watched two people promise their lives to each other. And all I could think was that I wanted the chance to see if we could be something real. Not for show, not for revenge, but for us." The world seemed to narrow to just the two of us standing among the flowers, the distant sounds of the reception fading away. "I think I'd like that chance too," I whispered. When Alex kissed me, it wasn't for anyone's benefit but our own. There was no audience to convince, no ex to impress. There was just the truth of his lips on mine, his arms drawing me close, and the promise of something neither of us had expected to find. 6 months later, I received another wedding invitation. This time, it was for my cousin's wedding in California. As I showed it to Alex over breakfast in his, now our, penthouse, he smiled. "Another wedding," he mused. "At least this time I won't be your fake date." I leaned over to kiss him. "No, this time you'll be my very real boyfriend." He caught my hand, his expression suddenly serious. What if, someday, I wanted to be more than that? My heart soared as I understood his meaning. I think I'd say yes. And I'd definitely stay for the vows. Sometimes the most unexpected detours lead us exactly where we're meant to be. What started as a desperate attempt to save face became the beginning of the love story I hadn't known I was waiting for. And as I looked at Alex, my boss, my unexpected love, my future, I realized that sometimes, the happy ending isn't about who you thought you wanted, but who you truly needed all along. If this story touched your heart, please don't forget to like this video and subscribe to the channel for more stories about love found in the most unexpected places. Remember that sometimes the most beautiful beginnings come disguised as endings, and the right person might be closer than you think.